speaking of this, I think that 2020, as far as a year, should be rebooted. I think it should be rebooted in safe mode. Or maybe we should just uninstall 2020 and reinstall it because of this virus.
Yeah, a reboot would be nice. Yeah, you need like a Back to the Future thing, where you gotta change the course of the future, because it's not good.
Here's the problem. Here are the options, and with them the problems. If you were to uninstall 2020 and reinstall... I got a phone call. If you were to uninstall it and reinstall it with a fresh build, then it would become January 1. Do we really want that? This is why I suggest, well, why don't we just restart it in safe mode? I gotta take this call. I'll be right back. N1 BCG.
W2... Check the radio. W2 PHL. Who else is out here?
I'm here, Phil. I'm in the background doing something.
Hey, Barry. All right, good deal.
I'll be back in like 5 minutes.
Thanks for the warning. Yay. Oof.
So I just picked up a DSI 5600A frequency counter and a leader signal generator. I don't know the model of it, but I got both for $50 shipped with all the cables and leads and for it. Guy was like, my grandfather gave these to me, and all I know is that they power on. Make me an offer. So I made him an offer, and he's like, okay, I'll ship them out today.
I missed the first part of that, Perry. I heard frequency counter. I met your We're buying something. I was just tuning around. What else did you get?
Oh, no problem. I got a DSI frequency counter, 5600A frequency counter, and a leader signal generator for $50 from a gentleman on some Facebook group. He I guess didn't know what he had. Well, he knew what he had, but he has no use for it. And I was just trying to get rid of it pretty quick. I'm just taking offers on the stuff, so I made an offer and won the bid.
Well, those are two core components of really good electronic technician's workbench, so that's great. Price sounds right, too, so good for you. W2PHL.
Yeah, it's an LSG 17 signal generator. And they're going for like $100 on eBay. So I got a pretty good deal there, so I'm pretty happy about that. And yeah, I figured I'd get use out of them. You know, and if I could get them for cheap enough, what the hell? It's not like I need them at the moment, but I know I would need them at some point, so figured I'd scoop them up while the getting was good. You're coming in good, Phil. By the way, this evening, and how'd you make out? I don't think I talked to you since the wind storm came through. Did you guys get a lot of wind up that way? We didn't. It was kind of a dud here. It wasn't anything worse than anything we had all winter, I'll tell you that.
No, it wasn't so bad. Well, I'm only running 40 watts. We just got some, just got a nice window of propagation here because you're like 30, 40 over. Yeah, we had a worse windstorm. Man, I don't even know when. Maybe a month and a half ago, where it was like 2 days of of serious wind. This wasn't all that bad, but I know the guys up in New England got hammered. So yeah, no complaints here. The garbage cans fell over a couple times. That was about it.
Yeah, some people though got hit pretty good with the wind. A friend of mine down the shore, he lives a few miles off the ocean, and his hex beam came down, and he ended up on a telescopic mast that was guyed and everything, but the top section went bye-bye, and the beam pretty much it survived pretty much. Just I guess one of the spreaders busted. But besides that, he was the only one that I'm trying to adjust something here. He was the only one that had any problems. So trying to get some of this fan noise out of here, but I don't want my audio to be too low. Alright, there we go. So I got the box fan on the other side of the shack. It's super hot in here. So that's the story on that. W2PHL, W3MMR.
Yeah, I can hear it a little bit. It's not objectionable at all, Perry. While that windstorm was going on, I turned on the. I'm not too far from LaGuardia Airport, so I turned on the tower frequency. I listen in every once in a while because I get puffy like that. And the pilots were reporting the weather to the towers, specifically the wind. And they were reporting 70-knot winds at 800 feet. So that's a lot of wind. It was quite a storm. But like I said, fortunately, it didn't do too much around here. So, and I know people in Westchester, which is just a few miles north of here, lost power. A lot of places lost power. I know Connecticut lost a lot of power too. But all good. I should turn the amp on, but I don't think I'm going to be in here much longer. I'm just waiting for the missus to tell me when she's done with her stuff and doing her work. She's still doing schoolwork. She's from working from home, so we'll probably grab some dinner or whatnot. But yeah, we were a little weaker that time around, only 10 to 20 over, so Dan's moving around anyway. W2QHM.
Good evening, and good evening to KE7XL in Washington State. Is that possible? He says he's hearing us. N1BCG.
WebSDR probably.
Oh, yeah. That's nice there, Phil. I got all excited for a second. You spoiled it.
Well, what did he send you an email?
No, he made a comment on an SDR anyway, so carry on.
Okay.
There's always one in every crowd.
What was the heavy phone call? Was it for you, or was it for one of the house guests that you take care of?
K7XL says, hearing you on K3FEF. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, that explains. I was going to say the propagation to Washington State should not be that good. I don't think I've ever been heard on the West Coast. Anyway, the phone call, funny thing is, because when I got off the phone call, I heard you talking about the airports. A friend of mine who is just a recently retired captain for American Airlines, and so we were actually talking about how airplanes and airports survived the storm yesterday. So there you go, a parallel conversation.
You don't hear a lot of talking back on the tower frequency, I mean, they're always really busy, number one, so I guess the fact that it wasn't all that busy and just back and forth even between other pilots, they were just talking about the wind because it was such a big deal.
Oh yeah, yesterday was epic.
What was I gonna say? Never mind.
I have those moments.
Oh, I remember. One morning I talked to a guy in Oregon, here on 85, early morning. Around the same time I worked David in Ecuador, HC5DX. Around 5 o'clock in the morning, between 5 and 5:30.
That's cool. There's a really good SDR, web SDR in California, and a couple times I could hear. Well, this is going way back, but I could hear Timtron coming through there, and a couple of the other guys. But it was funny how Timtron was actually above everyone else, even though he was like weaker at my house. This is like a year ago. I'm trying to think of the web. It's on the regular web SDR. If you just do websdr.org or whatever, and you just look for California, you'll find it's like an observatory or something. I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
Well, anyway, it's there, and it's a really good receiver, good antenna setup.
Turns out K7XL says he's got access to a remote rig near Hartford, and he uses it for a sched twice a month. Well, when does that come up again? Maybe we'll be on the air. Wouldn't that be funny? Oh, I know that sounds ridiculous for folks listening on the air. Now, I'm responding to what's being written in a. Never mind. N1BCG.
Okay, here it is. Just for notification here. It's KFS. Kilo Fox Samantha. Web SDR. Pacific coast of South San Francisco.
Well, yeah, you can use that to listen to 3840, which is the West Coast version of 7200.
You are a plethora of amateur info.
Oh no, I only know like the degenerate frequencies. See that? When you spend all that time in college being a psychology major, you actually get something out of the dysfunction on ham radio. So I find it beneficial to listen to 7200 and what is it, 14313? Not so much anymore. Carol is Carol. Carol is the proper pronunciation. Is not as spirited as he was in the past. 7200 is still pretty interesting. But I have been recently turned on to 3840 West Coast. Can't really get them here, though.
Well, if the band is rocking and rolling later on tonight, or whenever you get a chance, go on this Web SDR. You'd be surprised how much stuff. Let's see. I thought they had a beat Omni. They're explaining the antennas here. I don't know. It just said omnidirectional antenna. I thought they had some kind of directional antenna, if I'm remembering from the past. But at any rate, yeah, 48 users on it right now, so it's very popular. But if you get a chance later tonight, you could definitely hear some guys from the East Coast every once in a while making it that far over there.
Yeah, the band definitely does stretch out, man. You'd be surprised. With my noise level, though, it's hard for me to, hold a QSO, even though I can hear myself out there. I can't. I have a high noise level here, unfortunately, so holding a QSO is very hard unless it's extremely quiet here.
You have a remarkably strong signal here, Perry. My RF gain is at the 11 o'clock position, and you're at 10 over.
Well, hey, that's my nature, man. Band's in good shape. Yeah, you're very strong this evening too, Clark. You're around 40 over, 45 over, about minus 32, minus 35 on the S meter.
Oh, that's that digi-widgy signal strength.
Well, you're minus 73 dB is S9, so do the math.
Do the math.
Oh, come on, man. I know you can. Key up again.
Blah.
Okay, so my noise floor is at minus 115 on the pan adapter, and you peaked it at minus 57, so that's 40, 55, about 60 dB over the your signal to noise ratio is right around there.
Yeah, my noise floor is polished oak.
I mean, my noise floor right now is exceptionally low for this time of the evening. Like during the day, it'll get down to the S meter will read like minus 75 dBm, and the floor on the pan adapter is like minus 120-ish. And then usually in the evening, obviously, when there's more people and the band starts to come alive, I'm sitting right at around, right now, minus 73, and usually I'm like around minus 70 on the S meter and around minus 115 to 110 on the pan adapter. So it's a very quiet night here. W3MMR.
I can't believe people are squandering this evening here. The noise level is so low. I got chased off of 85 by a net that didn't even know we were there. And you guys aren't crowding the frequency with conversation here. KE7XL says he's on the second and the fourth Friday. 8 a.m. New York time? 8 a.m.? I'd have to set a timer for that.
What net was on 85?
I don't know. He says he uses a remote AM station near Hartford, and it's some schedule that he keeps twice a month, and it's on the second and fourth Friday, but it's at 8 o'clock New York time. It's like I'm never on in the morning on 70. I'm actually never on amateur radio in the mornings. I'm working.
W2PHL. No, I was asking about 3885. You said there was a net. I was just curious if you knew what net was up there.
I have no idea. Monotooth net. I don't know. They just always get on. They don't hear us. We hear them. I'm getting tired of trying to figure all that out. But Perry was right. Just slide down and be done with it.
WA1FTH.
Hey, Steve, how you doing? I'm going to get out of here, but I just wanted to mention I was up on 40 meters earlier today, just tuning around, and they have Jerry, forgot his call, I think it's ZULWA something, or W4 something, rather, ZUL. He runs the noontime forum on 7295, and he's like the only station I can copy. There's just a bunch of people, I guess, out Midwest. But he had mentioned seeing everybody on the net on 3885, and that's the only thing I heard. I didn't know when it was, and I was just curious if maybe you heard Jerry on 85 or not, but I don't know if you know him. But anyway, hello to Steve, and I'm just going to listen out. So go ahead, Clark, and then you can pick up Steve, and oh my God, I'm starting to roundtable it. Sorry about that. W2PHL.
Yeah, you're forgiven one time. Don't let it happen again. All right. Have a good night, Phil. So, Steve, not the usual signal from the Stevester tonight. What are you running? Oh, he's going classic. Very nice.
Yeah, it's just a 101 with
Well, it's not the usual bodacious signal, but the audio sounds quite good.
It's a 101, right?
Yeah, it's a 101 echo.
Well, you sound good down here, Steve. I think it sounds marvelous.
Well, it's got some Timmy audio mods in it, and this is Proxy 104. Had some drivers with that Other than that, alignment's doing good, and probably should have this and that.
Yeah, you're not too strong down here, though, Steve. The band hasn't quite stretched out yet. So a little bit of QSB, and I'm having a little bit of an issue copying that towards the end, but you were stronger the last transmission, but I think it sounds good.
Yeah, I did have a hum problem with the other radio. I don't think there's a hum on this. I mean, this is kind of... Don't everybody speak up at once.
I don't hear the hum. Do you, Clark?
No.
I've got a hum issue, but now once I get this one 100% put back together, it's going to be These are kind of neat little radios. I always like the look of these. They got kind of a Collinsy look to them. And they're a fun little box, and they're reasonably easy to work with. I've got all the extenders and whatnot. So, I'm becoming very, 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 very familiar.
Watch out for that level of familiarity. That usually gets people in trouble.
Well, I noticed when I look up things on the net about problems, that people, you ever notice that people start talking about a problem and a discussion goes, and all of a sudden, they don't even know what the hell happened.
I don't know. People talk about problems incessantly. That's like the favorite topic of ham radio.
Well, it's about making it work, I guess. So, you sound fully modulated.
Yes'm.
Very good. So anyways, like I said, I read a topic and I'll be going along with myself. And all of a sudden, guys, the problem went away. He never told anybody when it was he did the quick one.
Gotta love that suspense, huh?
Yeah. I know I have read some of yours on the AM forum, and, you know, whomever you're talking to, there seems to always be a completion.
The web conversations can be really interesting.
Well, as long as it has a summation. You remember you had that thing going on with that guy in the Vikings for a long time.
Oh, Kevin in Ohio about the Valiant?
Yes. That was quite around.
Well, that was productive. And as a matter of fact, he was on 75 meters with that Viking Valiant last night. And he even said that it had been a while since he was on with his Valiant. He thought he'd give it a shot because he heard me on and he correctly assumed that I'd love to hear it, and it sounded great. So it was very nice to hear that he's got it still going and he's getting some use out of it.
Yeah, I think I heard him briefly. Well, these 101s is that, you know, it's all one package. I put an AM filter in this, and away you go. I mean, it's a quick and easy way to get on AM.
And there you go for all the aspiring AM ops out there. The availability of boat anchors which are looking for good homes, well, it's a perfect match. You just got to keep your eye out.
Clark.
1E is not all that boat anchoring. It's, you know, being a hybrid. I don't know if you ever had one, but they're kind of neat. Easy way to go and good way to learn about how to fix it.
That's the featured rig in the classic radio column of QST this month is the 101.
What?
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Quick question before I forget. What would you guys pay for a working Ranger? Cosmetically, like a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 cosmetically, but it works. That's really all I know about it.
$150.
That's what I was thinking. I knew the guy wants $250 for it, and that's what I was going to offer him. But I would have to pay for shipping too. And then Bear was like, "Just wait for Sussex." I don't know if they're going to have Sussex.
I'd advise against shipping anything along the lines of a Viking Ranger unless it's like bolted inside of a wooden crate and shock mounts.
You know, Perry, yeah, I agree with Chris. I cannot stand shipping stuff. I've heard way too many stories about power transformers breaking loose from their mounts and running through the rig like a bowling ball, breaking tubes and breaking everything else. What a nightmare, huh? And then the shipping company says, well, we delivered it, and that's what we promised we would do. We don't say how it's going to get there. That's an unquote from one of the shippers. But Perry, the quote couple, I think 150 is right, but I'm kind of curious. Is it a newer Ranger? Is it the Ranger 2 or is it the original Ranger? And also, have there been mods? Does it have the keying deck in it. There's an additional circuit which has got 2 tubes on it right behind the front panel on the left, which has got a bias supply for the modulator and also a keying circuit. I'm kind of curious if it's got that.
Let me find it. No, it's not. He has a Ranger 2 for sale as well. And a Viking Valiant 2. Where's it at? Oh, Lord. Now I can't find it. Anyway, give me a minute, I'll find it.
It's W2JBL, forgot to say that. And hi, Steve. 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, I bought a Central Electronics 20A sideband exciter off of QRZ.com, where I've had excellent luck with sellers. It's the same size and weight as a Johnson Ranger. The guy didn't double box it. He threw it into a box that had maybe an inch clearance around it. Oh, and this was a rack-mounted version, so it was on a 19-inch panel. And the edges of the panel barely cleared the box. For packing material, he used those gray plastic Walmart shopping bags, single-boxed. And then he used UPS, which is the worst. Well, it arrived at my home with the front panel sticking out of the box and the accessory Vox unit that was in there, which was a plug-in module, a good-sized plug-in module, had become unseated, and it had smashed all of the tubes because this bonehead shipped it with the tubes installed. Which is something you don't do. So that's the kind of chances you take shipping, buying a boat anchor online and dealing with how people ship the thing. I was yellified. Oh my God! And UPS basically is, well, it was improperly packed. So I go after the guy and he said, well, that's why I insured it.
All right, real quick. And good evening, Chris. Ranger 1 factory build, new caps. VFO, resistor, and power cord, no sub panel, $250. Ranger 2, same deal with the sub panel, $200. And the Valiant 2, ready to go, variable RF power control on the clipping knob, $300. Located near Petersburg, Virginia, KK4 SIJ.
Variable power Valiant?
I was wondering the same thing.
Use the drive control for?
No, that's not variable power.
And I'm guessing this guy's a C bigger, because there's a Galaxy 48 DX48 HP sitting on top of the Ranger 1.
In my world, and that may not line up with the rest of the world, but in my world, buying boat anchors, if somebody's been in it, if it's been, quote, recapped, or somebody replaced the VFO dropping resistor, or modified in any way, if you want it, you knock 50% off of whatever he's asking because he's been in there. I'd rather buy a radio that's DOA and recap it myself than have to deal with God knows what the previous owner did that might have thought he knew what he was doing. That might sound a little cold, but I make out better that way.
Well, I would agree with you, Chris. I don't want somebody else's headache and then going in there and wondering what the hell happened and what they did and basically having to start from scratch anyway. So that's kind of like what I did with the DX100. I got 2 of them. One was a straight up parts rig, and the radio I got was basically a parts rig, the radio that I restored. And took 2 and made it 1. And I'd rather kind of do it that way, unless one had been like fully restored and absolutely gorgeous and by somebody who knew what they were doing, and then you'd be spending a nice amount of coin on it anyway. But no, I have a tendency to agree with you on that one.
Well, I also would stay away from fully restored. I don't care how pretty it is. In a lot of cases, they're so pretty they're not they're not the same. But buyer beware. Do what you want. That's been my take on it. And I do amateur radio repair here and CB repair, and It's not the CBers that are the problem, but man, oh man, amateur radio repair. Oh God. Well, it's like, think about working on a high-end sports car that the guy was doing his own repairs, and it comes to you.
Yeah, well, let me see if I got it. Yeah, I got it. Well, I got a Ranger 1 that was this recap that I put CTT on in solid state of the high-low voltage supply, but I didn't touch anything else in it because there's such a huge variation in what people want to do for mods. I'll tell it at some point that you can put a lot of time into these radios. You never, ever get it back.
Oh, I know. Boat anchor repair is extremely labor-intensive. I can never charge the true hours that I have in a job. It just doesn't happen. But I'm going to back up a little bit. If I know who did the recapping, and if I know who did the mods, and I know them to know what they're doing, but, you know, you're a professional electronics tech.
Didn't I say that, Clark?
Who had been in, because I know you. But, you know, some guy half the country away, oh, it's been recapped, it's been this, it's been that. I don't think so.
Well, the Ranger that I got is professionally recapped. It's done in a gorgeous manner with leaders and the whole bit. So it's a nice radio. I had a guy that wanted to buy it, but matter of fact, he came to see it, and when he did, I think he thought that it was a brand new radio because none of these, they all have wear. This one has a perfect face on it, but the case needs to be painted. It isn't real bad, but I could just tell by the look on his face that I tried to caution him and warn him about what he was getting into, but he didn't listen.
Well, there you go, Perry. That sounds like Steve's got your Ranger there. You know, I would trust. I would definitely trust Steve. You know, it's just, you know, some guy in Mississippi or whatever. You know where I'm going with that. But, oh God. Yeah. Oh, perfect example. Perfect example. Of course. You know, I knew what I was getting into. You know, that the infamous HAL auction and the Vortex Joe auction, all that boat anchor stuff that got auctioned off up the road from here last year or last summer. I bought a real oddball. I bought a World War II BC-348 receiver that would have been in a B-17 bomber. Very, very common. But this one was German. Apparently we sold a bunch of them after the war. We sold a bunch of them to the German National Police Force. So it was repainted green and then relabeled inside and out in German. And I bought that, and it came from HAL K6DPZ, who did ham radio repair. Okay? Very clean radio. I paid a premium for it, but how many German converted World War II American radios are you going to find in life? So I get the thing home, I hook it up, and it plays beautifully on 75 meters. Wow, and I'm looking around, it's been recapped, and the work is nice. Go up to 40 meters, nothing. Up to 20 meters, nothing. Of 6 bands, only 75 meters is working. And this is not an easy receiver to get apart and to get into the RF cans, you know, the coils in the front end of the mixer and stuff. But I've come to find that one of the coil sets is bad in there, and oh boy, have I got major mechanical disassembly. Get that son of a bitch apart. But then again, you know, in this case, I bought it at auction, so you don't know. But even that guy screwed up. I'm assuming that he screwed up. And then again, maybe somebody brought it to him and it was like that.
Yeah, sounds like a bundle of books. I got a nice 390A if you know anybody's looking for one in the original case that was in the Jeep. The case is like brand new.
Oh, I remember that. I'm a little R390A heavy. I don't know anybody offhand looking for one, but...
Well, if you ever hear anybody, this thing's a beauty. I don't use it. You remember when I was thinking about them, so I got one to play with. Ted did a quick alignment on it. I don't think it's been touched at all. It's a really nice one. They tell me the case is worth like
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all for that in that kind of condition, you know. I've got one left that I never did anything with, and I bought up spare modules for it and so on. I mean, this one was bad. It was stored badly, but I'm just getting ready to throw that one on the bench. That'll be the last one that I have with that batch that I got all those years ago. So that kind of covers the need on this end, because I am going to put another station together. Hey, has Brian been on tonight?
Earlier.
Oh, damn, I missed him. Well, I'll shoot him an email.
He was on 85 before the frequency switch.
Oh, you know, you got to stay up there when that happens, because they are complaining. They are starting to complain. I've caught wind of that. And the subject up there, Clark, is the Gulf Coast Mullet Net. As in, remember the movie Joe Dirt? The kid had a mullet, okay? It's the Gulf Coast Mullet Net. Look them up. When you see their group photo, you'll get an idea of what we're dealing with.
Are you sure mullet's not the fish?
Yeah, okay, could be.
Yes, sir.
Listen, I was thinking about this the other day, and you have a bang when you come on and like you're shooting something heavy duty, a sound of power. Seems to me a year or so ago you did
The clunk.
something change.
Yeah, I added a Roger beep. It's a recording of me hitting the side of a garbage can.
Yeah, I like that. That is a sound of power. I like that, and you got a nice one.
It's the sound of horrible design of putting a 4-pole contactor in the center of an aluminum chassis.
Resonance. Acoustic resonance. Nice work.
Yeah, it's neat.
Yeah, I'm sure it's even more dramatic with the mic gain up.
Yeah, I'm impressed. That is really neat. Well, anywho, what else was I going to say? I don't know, much of an idea.
Oh, I know. I forgot to say, this is W2JBL.
Oh, WA1SG. Question, Chris. Where did you say that article was on this month on the 101E?
It's the classic radio page in QST magazine this month. I just got it the other day. And it's nice. It's got a complete list of all the boards with all the revisions and their part numbers.
Yeah, they must have borrowed that from a guy who put all of that online. There is a nice page. There used to be a guy down in, I think he was in Maryland, that did a lot of work on these. He had a really good webpage. Yeah, it had to be one of the most popular radios of all time.
Yeah, it's also been said that there were more of them sold into the CV market than the amateur market, and working in CV repair for many years, I found that to be true.
What radio?
A lot of guys took this. They had took this and I rebuilt everything. It's like new. So it was a fun exercise.
Perry, it's the Yaesu FT101 series.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought that's what you were talking about. Yeah, I know tons of guys with them on 11. And that doesn't surprise me that more were sold to that market than this market.
Yeah, it's a bigger market. God, I fixed a lot of them. The toughest one I ever had, oh God, I was pissed. And it's very rare that CBers fool around with their own equipment, but this guy had. Brings me the radio, nice simple job. I'll grab an hour labor out of it and get beer money. Replace the final tubes and neutralize. Okay, no problem. Replace the tubes. Neutralized it. Oh, why do I only have 10 watts out? What the hell? Somebody put resistors in series with the screen connections to the PA tubes. So all you could do was get 10 watts out of it. And I called this kid up and I was effing furious because I spent like 2.5 hours after I did the initial work trying to figure out why it only put out 10 watts. He said, oh yeah, it's modified to drive an amplifier. I said, you dumbass, just turn the freaking carrier power down, but why are you driving an amplifier? Well, I wanted to get a 100-watt dead key. Oh, good.
Look at that.
Hey, here's
Snow.
a question for you. You know how plate caps, you know, on the front of a 101, for example, but it's two of other radios. Old radios, and that is that the plate tuning cap, they mark the front of it like 80 meters and 40 and 160, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm talking about. Now, over tuning that changes, and there's a pattern capacitor across that. Did you ever change one and get that scale so it works better?
Honest, I never noticed that it was that far off. And that's common in a lot of brands of radios doing that. That's just quick reference for when you change bands, so you're halfway in the ballpark when when you first key up. But I honestly never noticed that being that far off on a 101.
Yeah, this one is. And I was in the cage and I said, well, I wonder if that pattern capacitor change value makes it off.
Oh, the pattern cap for the plate tune on 80 and 160. Yes, those go bad.
Yeah, I may change it out. Not a big deal. It's hard to find parts. You know, it used to be fixing radios wasn't that big of a deal because I could go to all the electronics places years ago and get anything I wanted. Well, now I start to fix something, and if I don't have it in my supply of junk, I have to order it. And then I get further along troubleshooting something and go, oh, crap, I need one of them, and I don't have it, and I got to order it again. It gets expensive.
Speaking of which, 11 meters is going off right now.
6 meters is wide open into the Midwest and South, and they're probably halfway to the West Coast by now. I know CB was open an hour ago. That's where I was before I came on here. Yeah, Steve, I run into that too, and I just buy off of eBay. Little parts, small parts, it doesn't get that expensive. Tubes are cheap. Most of the small parts, electrolytics, resistors.
On the counter, how's like you?
Boy, I'm glad I got it. I'm glad I got it. Put it down with you, man. Yeah, it's been coming in from all directions over here. It sure has. I just busted this thing out about 30 minutes ago. It's real. I turned it on. I say, good gosh. And it's all the way across my spectrum here. I said, look at here. It's gonna happen. My brother from a different mother, 148, to a friend that joined up. It's the Kentucky. The Wood Nut 258 in the Kentucky, waving right back.
Where'd everybody go? November 2, Mike India November. And 2 MIN.
Gets there faster. I don't know why.
Yeah, but I always wind up waiting for things.
Well, so I'll go work on something else. I got lots of stuff to work on. K1 KBW.
Yeah, I just, good evening, Bob. I just, went down to 27025 or up to on this antenna, and the guy was 30 over. And then did this antenna tuned for here. Good Lord.
Yeah, 38 lower side is the same way. I just turned the radio on. The meter's like up against the pin.
This is the 101 Echo I got for you.
Hey, Steve, and who else is in there? Chris. Oh, that's that's the parts one you got. That radio was for parts.
Yeah, well, I put an AM filter in it and fixed a lot of other things, and it seems to be working pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I just kind of had it as a parts radio. I had 2 of them. I'm down to 3 now. I only got 3 101s left. I know I'm going to sell at least 1 more. No, probably 2, because I only need 1. But I got that mint one, and then I got the highly modified one. It's got my mods in it for the audio, which sounds as good as my E-Rig. Clark will attest to that.
Yeah. Oh, Steve, that patter cap in the PA, they just replaced that with a garden variety doorknob.
Yeah, I'm going to fool around with it when I get a chance. How's the audio on this? We probably got the bowl is running down here, so you can probably hear it.
It's okay.
SKS, I
It's
haven't
just a
leveled it
little
up.
above
Everyone is
communications quality.
literally screaming for me to use the SKS.
Yeah,
Everyone's
well,
saying,
what can
Luke,
you
use it.
expect
I need to
from
level
a
up. I've never
T104
used it,
stop
so I'm going to have to go out my way
No, it has
during
the
family time
audio mod.
or my relationship and say, sorry, Bish, get out of the kitchen. She'll probably chop my dick off.
no,
It's
but
already
they
got
don't
anyway out of my
have
vagina,
my
so it doesn't
audio
matter.
mods in
I
it. It
have to
sounds a
level-
lot better than it does.
No. It's Timmy's mods in it. You will feed an outboard audio into yours, right?
Yeah. There's only one. There's only one part you got to change in there with my mod, and that's the cap on the modulator board. I think it's a point. It's a 0.1. You got to change it to a 4.5 microfarad. That's it. But then you have to send your audio right directly into the balance modulator in the back.
Yeah, you're using outboard audio. Other stuff, right?
Yeah, but I put one of those little miniature toggle switches.
Radios. They're sitting side by side on the bench.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of modifications. There's a lot of those mica caps that go bad in those. There's a couple of them there in the PA section. Matter of fact, there's one of them that they recommend you put one alongside of it in case that one goes. This one will protect it. And if that goes, it takes out a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I already changed them in both radios.
Okay. Yeah, I was heavy into those for a while, and so I come up with that mod. It's simple, stupid, and you only got one part change. That's it. Just take out a cap and put another one. But and the thing sounds like $1 million. Of course, you got to run out for a radio. But when you flip the switch, you can run a D104 in the front. It sounds stock. It sounds just like like they normally do. So to me, that was the best of both worlds to run it like that, rather than to highly modify the hell out of it, and it, you can't get it back to stock.
Yeah, I might do that with the VCE. I might do that, so I can run it either way. I've got an extra 528 Echo that I could use on the Bob mod.